On this beautiful Shabbat morning, as we are surrounded by simcha and by blessings for all the wonderful things that are in our lives, we give an extra special thank you to the ability to learn from one of our great leaders of our community. So we offer to our board member, Wendy Arnold, who is offering the words of Torah this morning. Wish a yasher koach to you for giving us these words of Torah, and what a blessing it is to be able to learn from you. Wendy, the floor is all yours.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Do you know where you come from? As a small girl, I used to sit in the back seat of my parents' car twice a month as we traveled to see my grandparents in Syracuse, New York. My grandfather, actually both of my grandfathers were pharmacists, but my grandpa Art in Syracuse always let me play with his antique cash register and talk to his customers. He taught me that their stories made me a better person because I could appreciate what I had, and it made me a better listener and appreciate that not all of our stories are the same. Everyone has their own story. In this week's Torah portion, God, through Moses, wants us to listen and to understand the same important message. Moses, once again, is speaking to us as this is his second of 3 speeches that he delivers to us before we enter the land of Israel. He wants us to know where we come from. He even tells us, Re'eh anochi noten lifnehem hayom bracha uklala, that this is a day, both a blessing and a curse. A blessing if we follow his commandments, cursed if we do not. What choice do you make? Moses tells us extensively where we have come from. We are the chosen people who descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. We were delivered out of Egypt with an outstretched arm, and we were given the Torah and Kashrut. We need to know all of this and much more in order that we have the confidence to move forward as a whole people. It's only after we have this basis of knowledge that we can even begin to follow what God commands of us. It is the reward of an observant life that we will have the ability to hear God's voice among the conflicting messages that compete for our attention in this world today. However, Moses also knew that we learn and hear in all sorts of different ways. We aren't just one person. We have a shared story, but we also have stories of our own. Some see, some learn by touch, some by feel, some learn just by hearing. It is the people who don't understand or are not persuaded by God's teachings that made Moses even more desperate to teach us, which is why as each of these speeches are given, he becomes more and more desperate for us to hear. Moses knew that we were different than animals because we have the ability to choose. And he wants to make sure that the Jewish people made the right choice, live Jewishly by the commandments that God has given to us. He wants to make sure that we understand those commandments in a way that is meaningful to us, who we are, how we learn, and where we come from so that we choose God. It is not a coincidence at all that this second speech about listening and God's commandments comes 4 days before Rosh Chodesh Elul. Do you know where you come from? Do you know your heritage? Do you believe that you owe an apology to someone? Do you believe that you should have a conversation with someone you haven't spoken to in a while? Have you spoken to God? Can you do better? Do you know where you're going and how best to get there? God is watching us and waiting for our answers. How will you answer? Personally, I happen to love the month of Elul. It starts at sundown this Wednesday and continues through Thursday and Friday. The shofar, which is blown every morning at Minyan, awakens something in me that reminds me of my own story and where I come from. I think about my grandparents, my parents, going to shul for Rosh Hashanah and what's to come at Yom Kippur. It also makes me think about things that happened over the past year, accomplishments and failures. What else can I do to be better in the coming year? And what do I have to look forward to? What am I grateful and thankful for? And what do I still have to teach my children and make them the best that they can be? Trust me, it's definitely been a year, but I look forward to the next one, and I have faith to continue on this journey. This Shabbos and next, I will be listening to Moses. I will remember where we have been as a Jewish people and think about where we're going. When you know your heritage, your story, you definitely become a stronger person. And I remember the people who helped me shape me into this poised woman that I am today. I hope you join me on this journey. Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.